Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
Strictly for the culture. Brothers and sisters, you have seen the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, the mugs in the hands of some of your favorite pro wrestling stars, podcasters, and influencers out there. And now it's time. Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca and you too can be part of the movement. Bigger than sweatshirts and commercial success, Strictly for the Culture aims to build with like-minded people and elevate their position in the world through knowledge, self-love, and a desire to unite. So what are you waiting on? Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca. Do it for the love. Do it for the knowledge. Most importantly, folks, do it strictly for the culture.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, he's back. I tried to warn you. This man is like that Candyman movie, okay? You keep saying his name, and eventually he's going to reappear. And, you know, for those of us who are on the right side of history and who respect and who uplift our brother here, it's all good. And for the rest of you who keep begging and pleading for someone that you can direct your ire at, well, hey, your hero, you made him come back. You made him do this thing. So now it's time to paint the town red. It's time to set the world on fire. It is go time, Jack, because the man himself, Brad Shepard, has officially returned. What's going on there, Shepard?
Duke, what's going on? Good to be here as always. I'm kind of like Beetlejuice. You say my name 3 times and I appear.
Well, you know what I love about the fact that, at least with Brad Shepard, we know that you're not begging for cheeseboards or having emotional breakdowns over anything that Triple H may or may not say about you, right?
Some people just need a little cheese with their wine. But yeah, there would be no GoFundMes. There would be no cheese spreads or anything like that with Brad Shepard.
Let's just jump right into it, Shepard, because I know that people are curious about your opinion on this. At the Scrum, the media event that happened, you know, after the pay-per-view WWE just had in France, there was a question posed to Triple H, and you know what was stated and attributed to Fightful and PW Insider was inaccurate information. They said that Drew Gulak was released. And that is not the case. Triple H was able to correct the record and say, no, he wasn't released. We just chose not to renew his contract, which, you know, we do that all the time. The NFL does that. That's part of doing business. So, but the thing that everybody latched onto and the thing that made our good buddy, the thigh rubber himself, Sniffles, Sean Ross Sapp, literally have a conniption was the fact that Triple H said, you got to get some better sources, more accurate ones, you know. And I guess that Sapp took that as a personal attack on him, even though he wasn't the one that reported it initially, at least that he's not attributed as being the person reporting it initially. And Triple H never said his name. But this guy took it upon himself to turn it into a personal crusade, and he got all the band of merry dirt sheet gang and GoFundMe warriors and goofballs all together and they're threatening Triple H. They're threatening WWE. Sapp is talking about his emotional stability because he just lost a loved one and he can't believe that the WWE and Triple H would attack him and his company this way. He can't believe it. And he's gonna, and then suddenly you're gonna give me a public apology and you better do this and you better do that. And then he's posting a picture of a cheese board that was mailed to him because Triple H and Nick Khan felt so sorry for this emotional, unstable con man who utilized the passing of a loved one to leverage sympathy at a time where no one was even talking about him. He pulled a 649, the switcheroo. This literally morally bankrupt goofball, right? And he managed to get a gift and a letter out of it. And instead of just accepting that and moving on, he's got to put it up in lights and post it online because you know what? The grift has to keep going.
Yeah,
Brad
the victim
Shepard,
grift.
tell us. We haven't heard from you in a while, our brother. Tell us what you think about our good man Sniffles pulling another fast one.
Well, I think they wrote a song about it. Yeah, you're so vain, you probably think this song is about you. You know, and that sums up Sean Ross Sapp in a nutshell. And, you know, he presumed this was about him. And because Fightful, you know, was named, he's not Fightful. He's part of Fightful. But why would that automatically be about him? Well, that's an ego thing. He is so vain. You said, you know, I'm gonna puke, right? I'm gonna puke. That's how I felt listening to that. Look, I mean, we have all lost loved ones. I sympathize with him and everyone who has lost a loved one they're close to that they've cared for. I can totally sympathize and relate with Sean on that. I'm not criticizing that. I'm criticizing that Sean Ross Sapp has to use things in his personal life for sympathy and share them with the world. I have challenges. You have challenges. We all have challenges and hard times. And, you know, we don't share those with the world for sympathy. And certainly don't make things about us that aren't. And so that is where I take issue with Sean Sapp. And I shouldn't use his middle name. I don't know why I'm doing that. Who goes by their middle name? Usually only douchebags. So Sean Sapp, Sean, that's who he is. We shouldn't call him Sean Ross Sapp. So I'm going to call him Sean or Sean Sapp. So excuse me for that. But yeah, that's my issue with Sean. And I see not a lot has changed with him. He can't stop mentioning me or putting me over in some way, and neither can his friends. And again, you know, hey, maybe they're rubbing the magic lamp and they're asking the genie for their one wish for Brad Shepard to return. But they can't keep my name out of their mouth, whether it's public or private.
Well, and that's got to be disturbing just to be on the receiving end of that, Brad. I know they do it to me. Certainly not even close to the scale they do it to you. But when they do it to me, it's always bizarre because it's like, I'm not even talking about you. I'm not even thinking about you. Why are you talking about me? Why are you posting about me? Why are you taking shots at me? This is what these goofballs do. And then they cry foul when we have to do an episode where we start doing a little dive into them, right? The fact that every single solitary day, whether it be Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it today, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Reddit, the fact that every single day, these goofballs, and they're all connected with each other, by the way, they will mention Brad Shepard in general conversation that has literally absolutely nothing to do with you. The fact that they mention your name every single day, I just don't know what to do with that. I got to ask you, Brad, are you flattered or are you disturbed?
Honestly, a mix of both. You know, I am flattered that they think so highly of my opinion, because if they didn't, they wouldn't talk about me. I mean, my opinion only holds as much value as they allow it to. So that's why I'm flattered, because clearly they allow it and they care about what I have to say. I mean, I've been out of the spotlight for quite a while now, and they are still mentioning my name on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, podcasts. You can go down the list, and these are, professional wrestlers and people in the media and wrestling fans. So that is flattering. It's also a little disturbing because, generally speaking, don't know these people and don't know why they're so invested in me. And a lot of them don't have good intentions, people who are not my supporters, for example. So it is definitely a mix of both. But you want Brad Shepard, you're going to get him, because every time I try to go away, Duke, they pull me back in. They want Brad Shepard. The pro wrestling community genuinely wants Brad Shepard. I mean, and there's a lot you can look at. You can look at my podcast numbers, a top 10 global podcast, and I haven't recorded an episode in almost a year. Think about that. The people want Brad Shepard, whether they want to admit it or not. So I'm going to give the people what they want, Duke. Plain and simple.
And what they want is some people want a hero. They want someone that they can believe in and blindly follow. In your case, they want someone to blame. And there is something about Brad Shepard. It's like you're their favorite stepdad. You know what I mean? That it's just they cannot make it in this world without you. And without you, they start turning on each other. They cuss each other. They threaten each other. You have, since we talked about him already, you have Sap. He's going around bragging about headbutting Billy Body, which is legitimately one of the more bizarre things that I've ever seen. You don't score points because you headbutt a guy that's barely 130 pounds with a brick in his pocket. I don't know what to say about that. I literally, this guy is an emotional wreck. Okay, I'm telling you right now. Sap is an emotional wreck. He wants to be known as Billy Badass, and it's the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life because you're an adult. Okay, no one is afraid of you. No one is impressed with the fact that you can go beat up some little pipsqueak who his biggest claim to fame is that he was some reality star and he likes to say a lot of bombastic things. Good for him. But the fact that you think you did something because you headbutt that guy, I'm just telling you, Sean, and I've told you this directly, you need help. You have a lot of emotional issues with you, buddy. Okay. And the fact that you want to be known as some tough guy, listen, go fight in UFC or PFL or something like that. Go show us what you really can do against professionals. Beating up some little skinny punk who doesn't even really want to fight anyway, who as you claimed, he runs away from you. You don't score points for that. You just look like a goofball and a bully. Okay? That's what you are. Talking tough online and then picking on these little scrawny goofs. Buddy, you don't get any pats on the back for that. And all those weirdos and emotionally unstable people that cheer you on for that, just look around. What does that say about them? Do you really feel good about that? You need help, man. You need a lot of help.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I think mental health in full transparency is something to take seriously. And if you're a loved one of Sean, you should encourage him to get help with his emotional issues. I think that's important. He clearly does have a lot of issues and could probably talk to someone. I mean, I look at Sean and I just see a guy who's, in his 30s and is like living this childlike life with a meaningless existence, no kids, and he covers pro wrestling for a living. He just lives this childlike existence, for himself. And it's just kind of a sad situation when you think about it. I can't relate. I don't have, friends in a similar situation, but I do think, he's had some difficult things going on. And I don't think it's a bad thing for him to talk to somebody and seek help. But the behavior that I've seen from him online, and again, here's a guy in his 30s, married, and he's, seeking out fights with people, challenging people to fights, threatening them, people in the industry, people who are fans, etc. And I get the, the threats and the stalking and harassment. He and his group have been doing that to me for years, and responsible for that. So I'm well familiar with that scenario. I would just say he should address that, and it's okay.
It absolutely is okay. And this is the thing, his way of dealing with things, again, he wants people to believe he's some kind of Billy Badass tough guy. And he's not. He legitimately is a scared little person. That's what he is. A scared, emotionally bankrupt little person.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this by the way that he conducts himself. Okay? You don't need to cuss and carry on and threaten and literally at one point beat up the weakest guy in the room. A person who legitimately could not do anything to anyone, right? You do not score points beating up Billy Body. That's just goofy. It legitimately is goofy, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself, Sean.
Yeah, by the way, Duke, I just want to say he did this allegedly during WrestleMania weekend while he was there potentially doing work for Fightful, right? That's what we would presume. So that's how professional he is. He's on the job, the biggest show of the year in the industry he covers, and he's literally chasing down and physically assaulting other people allegedly. And so, and not in self-defense. And so if I'm WWE, I have to remove that guy from covering any of my events moving forward because he is a safety risk to be at events covering them. That's not a good thing for WWE. And if you're Jimmy Van and Fightful, what the hell are you thinking? Why is that okay? Why has he not talked about it? Has that been addressed with Sean? A lot of questions surrounding this story that Sean came out with.
That's a great point. And I don't even know what to make of this Jimmy Van character. I mean, clearly he's finding ways to tap into emotionally unstable people who like being lied to and will pay to be lied to. That seems to be his thing. So if he can find a ringmaster like Sap, who is very skilled, by the way, I've never taken away the fact that this guy is talented. He has figured out how to take emotionally unstable people who part of their kink is just to give money and be mistreated, and that's what they do. Sap is very good at that, and Jimmy Van is very good at convincing that person to essentially be his earner. Bring me the money, and I'll give you a couple of pence on the dollar. Bring me the money. So is Jimmy Van, is that like a form of pimping? I don't know what that is. I'm just asking a question here. I'm not the arbiter of anything, but maybe Jimmy Van, maybe this is a question. I'm just pondering out loud. Maybe Jimmy Van is the greatest pimp in the history of quote unquote wrestling media. And he has his workers who know how to go and get the tricks. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But Jimmy, I, I don't have much nice to say about you, brother, because your business practices are bizarre. You should have been paying Denise Salcedo the most money. And the fact that you have that woman of color who was carrying that company, especially during the pandemic, and yet you were paying this emotionally disturbed individual in SAP who's going around threatening people and beating up folks from other countries who who can't defend themselves, quite frankly. The fact that you're paying that guy more when Denise, whether you like her or not, Denise was carrying that company and you were just disrespecting her by not paying her as much as you were paying the other goofball. Jimmy Van, you, in my opinion, are a disgrace. It's as simple as that.
Well, a wise man once said, pimping ain't easy, but I'd have to beg to differ because he is indeed the pimp in chief, Jimmy Van, and he's made it look easy.
He sure has. And listen, speaking of which, since we're lining them all up, it's been a while, Shepard. I haven't been canceled in a while, so I might as well make it good. I want to bring up another name that popped up recently, surprisingly. Matt Koon. Matt
Oh
Koon,
god.
my favorite Jingle Man. All right, this guy, he can make a jingle, brother. Let me tell you, that man knows how to make a tune. Okay, Matt Koon, the Jingle Man, found himself in a little bit of controversy recently. He was presenting himself as Captain SJW, hashtag boy, and all that good stuff. There, he loves to try to cosplay, caring about causes and being anti-racist and all this other stuff, which is interesting. When Strictly for the Culture, our friends over there, shout out to them, and some other folks raised the question about MJF, a guy who disrespected uh, all black folk and anyone who's an ally by essentially comparing slavery to the Holocaust and saying that the Holocaust was much worse, literally pitting different folks, different cultures who have been brutalized, pitting us against each other. And MJF is Jewish. So the fact that he would take it upon himself to try to uplift himself and his culture by putting down my culture is kind of strange and kind of scummy and certainly racist, in my opinion. And Strictly for the Culture, they felt the same way. And they brought it up and they brought it to Matt Koon's attention. And Matt Koon suddenly could not identify the racism in that situation. In fact, he said he didn't see it. So when I observed this, Shepard, I just pointed out, listen, Matt Koon, you're Conrad's goofy buddy. Um, you're a talented guy. I like when you make the music and all that stuff, when you make your jingles. Stick to making the jingles and stay out of the racism talk because clearly you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Clearly you are not honest enough, brave enough to stand firm and just call it what it is. You pick your spots depending on what the popular crowd says. So let me get your take on this here, Shepard. I mean, am I missing something here with Matt Koon, or is he as phony as a $3 bill?
Well, I think first of all, his name is extremely racist. I just want to point that out for the record. So I think he should change his name immediately, unless he is in fact racist. With that being said, look, the problem with Matt Koon is Matt wants to be liked. I mean, he is mentally ill by his own admission, so there's that. But ultimately, he's, kind of a loser. He is mildly talented. I will definitely give him that. But he's just one of those like outcasts in society that wants to fit in, that wants to be liked, and wants to be liked more so than the average person, because at some level, everybody wants to be liked. Um, but even more so, like in Matt's case, he wanted to be part of this cool kids club with the, I guess, the online pro wrestling communities and with the wrestlers themselves. And that's why he would drive them around at shows for free. That's why he's made friends with people like Sean and Sapp and others. So that's Matt in a nutshell, I think, pretty much. I don't think he has good intentions. I don't think he's stable or trustworthy. And he's certainly proven that to be true. So, I'm not a fan of Matt Koon at all. Like most white male liberal SJWs, I think he is much more likely to be the actual racist one, and doesn't actually believe in what he's saying. But yeah, Matt is another guy who loves to talk about me, who loves to lie about me in spite of evidence, and it's all ultimately to get people to like him. Because hey, if you say my name and you say bad things about me, this sort of toxic online internet audience, this Twitter wrestling group of people, they're going to like that. So, and then they're going to like Matt, and Matt's going to be loved, and that makes him feel all warm and fuzzy. But, Matt needs to focus on himself, believe me, and not people like me or others.
I agree, and I'm just gonna, say this, and this is just me talking. So, Matt, you don't need to invoke Brad's name and what I'm about to say because I'm talking directly to you. You talk to me, young man. Um, Again, I like the Matt Koon who's Conrad's goofy buddy. That's what we know you as, for better or for worse. when you start venturing off into things that you're really not qualified to venture off into, you make a fool of yourself, and you really make a fool out of Conrad, who used his cachet to vouch for you and help you even, be somebody that anyone knows anything about. Because without him, I don't know if anyone would know who the hell you are, Matt. Now, again, I think you're a talented guy. So just do me a favor. And again, this is me talking to you here, Matt. I need you to get up, take your big back self into the studio, get your jingle machine, and make me something that I could tap my foot to. And just do that and stay out of grown folk business. Thank you. All right, Shepard, moving on here. A little birdie told me that you are putting the band back together, Shepard.
I am putting the band back together. Again, I tried to stay away, but these people just won't let Brad Shepard stay away. So I'm going to give them what they want. The band is coming back together. Brad Shepard Unleashed is returning. I'm very happy to announce that. And every week on Tuesdays, starting May 14th, you'll have a new episode of Brad Shepard Unleashed. I'm back. And whether you like it or whether you don't, you're going to be talking about me.
You heard it straight from the man's mouth. And again, for all of us who, appreciate Brad and appreciates the idea of somebody being able to just tell it like it is and tell it like they see it. There is no reason why we all have to sound the same, think the same, have the same perspective on things. We need variety in the space. And certainly Brad Shepard provides some excellent and much needed variety in the space. So for all of us who appreciate that, this is wonderful news. And for all of you who have a problem with that, this is wonderful news for you, even more wonderful news for you, because now you have something that you can hate listen to again. I kind of lull you to sleep with my interviews and stuff like that because we don't get too controversial. We got to get the sizzle back here with Brad Shepard and really get you stirred up because that's what you folks are missing in your miserable lives. So guess what? You're going to get it. Okay, Brad Shepard is back, baby. Like you said, we got another 5 weeks before we get the next episode there, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's coming, and it's coming hard. No Diddy.
There it is. What else in the wrestling world before we let you go there, Brad? What else is something that you want to weigh in on? Because we haven't heard from you in a while, and so much has happened since the last time you were on. I mean, the WWE has a totally different ownership company now, and Vince McMahon is completely out. Folks like Triple H has been exalted as the big thing now, and everyone is a Triple H guy suddenly, which is interesting to me. Then on the flip side, you have AEW losing international partners who don't want to carry their programming anymore because of how terrible it is. They still don't have a deal from WBD, even though their current contract, which they had an extension on, it ends in December. So literally, as it stands right now, the United States of America, AEW has no place to air their content in 2025. What do you want to talk about, Brad?
Well, the wrestling scene has certainly changed a lot since my last podcast. That's for sure. And some for the better and some certainly not. I don't think that Noseman Paul Levesque is the savior like many people in the IWC do. There are things under his leadership that have changed, I think, for the better, and certainly some things for the worse. Look, I don't need a video package on DIY. I don't want to see a video package of them. I want to see them not in the company. Wrestling somewhere else where I don't have to see them because they don't belong in the biggest company in the industry. They're not at that level. And so I don't want to see DIY shoved down my throat every week in any capacity. They don't belong. They belong in the minor leagues like AEW. So that's what I would like to see. So I would like for Paul very much to stop promoting these little fellas. What's this other one? These little UK guys who are a tag team. They've got some weird name now. I don't even know, but they came from NXT UK, whatever, and they formed a team, and I don't know why, but it's like he's taken all these little NXT guys and tried to bring them up, and I just don't understand that mindset. That's, to me, something that Vince McMahon was smarter and better on from a business perspective than Paul. Look, I've said it before. Rey Mysterio is a legend. Rey Mysterio is someone I want to see wrestle. When you got 30 Rey Mysterios, you got too many Rey Mysterios. You don't need a bunch of little guys in pro wrestling. And that's one thing that Paul has done. So I don't like that. At the same time, they seem to have more freedom. And I think we've seen some positive things out of the product that are taking place, even down to getting rid of Kevin Dunn in the camera. What you're seeing as a TV viewer has improved tremendously without Kevin Dunn, and has really shown how they can take things to the next level as good as they were already from a production perspective. So they've done that. You look at AEW, and again, they're the minor leagues. They're a clown show run by a clown. I mean, that is an embarrassing pro wrestling company filled with embarrassing pro wrestlers. How many times are they going to mention CM Punk's name and put over that he bitched out Jack Perry? And the greatest thing about Jack Perry is his father. The guy has no charisma. Now he's being promoted as one of the bigger stars in this faction with the Young Bucks, who also have been a complete disappointment in AEW, who haven't really been over, haven't really made any impact whatsoever. They brought in a bunch of people like Mercedes, who's been a total flop, which I knew would happen. They brought in Will Ospreay. They paid these people a bunch of money. They're not moving the needle. In fact, the needle is moving in the opposite direction. They're losing viewership year over year over year over year. That's what's happening. That's undeniable. And then you've got this crazy man with wild hair who looks like he's on who knows what, and telling you they're about to get some massive rights deal. I mean, this is total delusion, and the show is unwatchable. It's, when WWE is doing well, so goes the industry. It should be providing opportunities for others, but AEW isn't taking advantage of that because it's so bad. And Tony Khan has the money to make it work, but he doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have the creative ability. And so it's not working. Impact Wrestling is awful. It is the shits. Look, this Joe Hendry guy, I heard a song he did recently. I think he's entertaining. They should probably push him. But when I look at that show, I mean, that show is awful. It sucks. So pro wrestling should be getting better as WWE does great. But in many ways, they're really not. So I think overall, I've been more interested in WWE recently than I was historically. But at the same time, they're still missing opportunities too. Cody had the big story. He finished it. Well, what happens next? What happens next is they have to create a story that's going to keep you invested in Cody as the champion, not a guy who's the underdog trying to win the big one, because he's done that now. So what is the story? And they haven't been able to capitalize on that. And I see Logan Paul come out and cut a promo with Cody, and Logan Paul outshined Cody in that promo, in my opinion. So they have to figure out what they're doing with Cody, because he is clearly someone they're pushing as the top of their brand. And frankly, he'll probably be outshined by Roman when he returns, and certainly The Rock when he returns. So they have to figure that out. Those are a bunch of jumbled thoughts, Duke. I've got a lot more, of course, which I'll talk about on the podcast.
Brad Shepard coming in hot with this one. My goodness. I love it. I love it. This is the stuff we've been missing, man. Again, things have been a little too quiet, a little too what do I say? Civil We need a little chaos in here, Brad, and you being unfiltered with your takes and just calling it the way that it is. That's good stuff. That really is. And I just wonder about something because we had Devon Dudley on the show. In fact, it was the last episode. He made his second appearance in less than 6 weeks. And Devon talked about his impression of Tony Khan and AEW. Now he said, yeah, there are some talented wrestlers on that roster and what have you, but they don't have proper direction. They don't have a booker. They don't have agents that they're listening to, because if they were, then things would be a lot better. And overall, the root of the issue is Tony Khan. He just needs to get his ship in order. Devon told the story of Tony Khan using his sons to try to lure Devon in to AEW. And, the sons were given an opportunity to be on TV and wrestle with them and things like that. And they brought Devon in for a few meetings and offered him a position. And Devon told them, look, I don't want to wrestle. My back is in bad shape and what have you. I would love to be an agent. I'm willing to compromise and be a manager for my boys just to help them, get out there and get some visibility. But I don't want to wrestle because I don't want to have that kind of problem there. And AEW strung him along, or as I should say, Tony Khan strung him along. 3 meetings, Shepard, strung him along, and then finally said, hey, we don't have any open positions for agents, but, you could wrestle. And Devon, that was the last time he spoke to him. Thank you for your time. No, thank you, and left. And then promptly, Devon's sons suddenly aren't getting any more bookings in AEW. They were essentially shown the door because their father wouldn't wrestle for the company. That is essentially the story that was told. Devon was diplomatic and respectful, but he also just stuck to the facts. What's your take on that type of way of doing business on Tony Khan's front there?
Well, I think it's awful, but this is the same person who trashed WWE for their treatment of wrestlers. And what is he providing? Is he giving health insurance to his contracted pro wrestlers? What kind of benefits do they have? So he can talk a big game, certainly, but what I've seen from Tony, not the words, but the actions, is not very desirable. It's not impressive. I think that's an awful way to do business. And again, I think, the biggest hindrance to AEW is Tony Khan, ironically. And without Tony Khan, there is no AEW because he, along with his daddy Shad, are obviously funding the operation. So he's necessary, but at the same time, he's hindering them. So that's obviously a problem, and he's bringing in people who aren't telling him no. I don't know where Will Washington's nose begins and Tony Khan's ass ends. And that's a problem because there should be people telling him when he is going astray, when he's doing something that may not be good for the business, for the company, for the creative, etc. And that's what Tony Khan has to have. I want AEW to fail, just to be clear. I want to be very clear about that. I do not want them to succeed, and I don't have to want them to succeed. That's okay. I don't look at all businesses and think just because I like one specific thing they offer that I should support all stores that offer that. I'm a Patriots fan in the NFL. I don't want the Buffalo Bills to succeed. That's all totally normal and healthy. I don't have to like something just because it's pro wrestling and I'm a pro wrestling fan. I like movies too. I don't want all movies to be successful, or I don't want to see all movies because I like what I like, and that's okay. So that kind of trope is overplayed in the IWC. It's okay to not want AEW to succeed, and I want them to fail because they are not my style of pro wrestling. They're not something I'm interested in, and I think there are numerous examples of them being actually harmful for the industry. And surely they've done some things that help. I agree with that, right? They have offered job opportunities to pro wrestlers not in WWE where they can make a living. At the same time, they've certainly made the business a negative. Tony Khan has whipped up these lunatic fans and made this sort of cult of personality worse. And that's been a negative for the interactions in the IWC. And you see that. You see that on X. You see that on the different social media platforms. So just to be clear again, I want AEW to fail and go out of business.
I'm telling you, Brad Shepard, okay? The man that you either appreciate because he tells it like it is and he's not afraid and he's not going to worry about the popular opinion. He's just going to give an honest take. Or you can't stand him, but you also can't stop listening to him because he can do the thing that you're not brave enough to do. That's the Brad Shepard we know. That's the Brad Shepard we appreciate. And look, for all you humanoids out there, you love to try to paint this false picture. Brad and I disagree about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And we have always through the years openly disagreed about things. But the difference between Brad and I and you is that we are adults. We are actually emotionally stable enough to be able to disagree without being disagreeable. We can disagree on a topic, agree on another topic, laugh about something else, come together about providing for our family and just being decent human beings in society and move on. We don't need to sit here and turn it into some stupid Crips versus Bloods nonsense that a lot of you weaklings, this is all you know. You want to gang up and try to destroy people because they actually had the audacity to have a different opinion than you have. Oh, the horror. My God. I'm telling you.
Well, I really do appreciate you, Duke. And you're right. It's two adults. And, I'll be honest with you. I don't have really many friends or any friends that I agree with on just about everything. How boring would that be? Surrounded by a circle jerk of, exactly similar beliefs. That'd be so boring. I like to culture myself. I like to have different experiences and backgrounds and, kind of branch myself out and diversify myself. So I like to surround myself with people who have different experiences just as much as people with similar experiences or more. So I can definitely appreciate what you bring to the table. And, I have friends that have opposite views of me politically and otherwise, and that's okay. So, all the haters out there, who are categorizing me in a certain way, we may have more in common than you think. I have a lot of life experience. I'm easy to talk to. I'm very relatable. And, if you just had a conversation with me, you may realize that I'm not going to bite. It's okay.
Brad, if anyone listening right now wants to keep up with you and make sure that they're dialed in so that when the new content drops, they are absolutely there to listen and go along for the journey, what's the best way they can do that?
The best way to reach me is on X at Bshep Unleashed. That's BESHEP Unleashed. Follow me on X. I'll be branching out from there, but that is the one place right now where you can find all of the information on Brad Shepard and Brad Shepard Unleashed.
Brad, I appreciate you, man. It's the 8th year anniversary of Duke Loves Rasslin, and it's always fun to have you in the mix. Since moment one, you and I have always been straight up with each other, and we've always made magic when we collaborate, which I appreciate. And this show has grown partially because of your contributions to it, man. So I don't take that lightly, and I appreciate you for it. And it's interesting because when I reflect back on the type of individuals that consistently give you a hard time and who consistently give me a hard time, it's as if they think they are Sonny in The Godfather. They think that they're these rough and tumble badasses who can beat people up in the streets and they fly off the handle and that's cool and it's awesome. And, the kids are giggling and cheering them on and stuff. They think they're Sonny when in reality, they're bumbling, stumbling goofballs who want to be smart, who want respect because they're smart. They're Fredo. They absolutely are Fredo. And I just want to tell you, Brad Shepard, from one Michael to another, thank you for always being who you are, brother.
And always remember, Tom, this is business. And this man is taking it very, very personal.
I want to remind you to check out Zencastr, Zencastr. That is my favorite program to use for all my recording needs. And the great part is, not only do they have audio, but they also have video options as well. So whether you're video conferencing, podcasting, just catching up with friends and loved ones, you definitely want to check out Zencastr. They have paid subscriptions. They also have a free version, which I'm actually using right now. Transcripts, the whole 9 yards, and even, get this, Zencastr has started to do hosting. So for all you podcasters out there, if you're looking for a host for your show, please consider Zencastr. You will not regret it. I'm telling you right now. Once again, Zencastr. Made on Zencastr. That's right. Till next time, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.